is one of those days, the church calendar, that does not get too much notice from Protestants. Most of us are still recovering from Christmas and New Year. And right now, we really do not want to think about little Christmas, more reading, more gift giving. Now, in other cultures, the 6th of January is treated as an important holiday, and many of the activities are similar to those that we celebrate on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And I can assure you, again, that in Deltona, in my neighborhood, they will celebrate with fireworks.
Yes.
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 Yes. Until 1 o'clock on January 1st. Anyway, not to digress. What we do on the Epiphany is to celebrate the three kings and their visit to Jesus. The word Epiphany means revelation, manifestation. The visit from the wise men is Matthew's way of telling the world that Jesus Christ had come for the Gentiles, for the non-Jews. He appeared to the angels came and told the shepherds, the people of Israel, and now we're celebrating the fact that Jesus is not a one-man show. He has come for everybody. There's a story told about 3 6-year-old boys who were playing the wise man in their Sunday school program. And as they marched in with their Burger King crowns and everything, they came up to Jesus and they announced, "We have brought gold, myrrh, and Frank sent this." Now, if you paid attention to the reading, because you were comfortable today sitting, no one knows how many kings there were actually there. All we know is that there were 3 gifts. And so people have assumed that no one showed up empty-handed. And over the years, to fill in the blanks, because people are much more comfortable with having some sort of story, that the kings have been assigned names, they've been assigned nationalities, they've been assigned ages, and they've been assigned stereotypes. Symbolic of that the message of God's love has come to everybody. People are now comfortable because they have something and they can celebrate different people. Now, one of the internet stories is that there have been 3 wise women. They would have asked directions. They would have arrived on time. They would have shown up and cleaned the stable. They would have helped Mary deliver the baby. They would have brought a casserole, and they would have brought diapers. Now, the Greek word for magi, which is used in this translation, is magio. And it's a root word for magic, astrologers, and, as most of us know, wise men. In Acts 13, the same word was used, and it was also known for sorcerers. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, there were 12 kings. So it would have made a nice little pile for the little baby Jesus. Matthew, if you noticed again, wrote child, which into that language means somebody between the ages of 2 and 4. And he also used the word house as opposed to stable or barn. Mary, Joseph, and the kid have moved out of their cave. Now, these 3 wise men followed the star, and they assumed that the new king, kings are all born in palaces. But we also find out that people in power who are supposed to be smart do not always get it right. And so they arrived in Jerusalem, the capital of Israel. And they start poking around and asking questions. Where's the king? Where's this new kid? and they could not find any answers. But these three men must have made a big show. We know that because we've seen them in movies. But nobody, Herod wouldn't have gone and made any effort to see these people, so they had to be somebody important. And so they have an audience with King Herod. Now, King Herod's family were just puppets put there by Rome. They said, "Oh, you are now the king of Israel. This is what you're going to do. You're going to do what I tell you to do." So here are these people, these visitors, asking, where is the new king who is going to be born king of the Jews? And they all knew that the king, the rightful heir, the one from King David's line, maybe he wants to come back and get his right throne. Life would change by the prophets. And here's Herod and his family. They're all upset. We may lose our jobs. We may get in trouble with Rome. So King Herod is disturbed, and therefore, if the king is disturbed, all his little flunkies are disturbed as well. So Herod calls in his advisors, the teachers. "Hey, you guys, you know a lot about this Bible stuff. Tell me what's going on." And in a very polite way, they reminded him that if he had paid attention in Sunday school, he would have known that the prophet Micah had said that this child, the new king, would be born in little old Bethlehem. So Herod says, "Okay, guys, the kid's going to be born in Bethlehem. So I want you to go down there. I want you to get a name. I want you to get an address. And then come back and tell me, and then I too will go and worship this new king." Now, I think we've heard the story so often, we've seen it so often in pageants and whatever, that the real message is lost on us. Have to remember that Matthew is writing to a church at this point that's made up of Jewish people. Most of them wanted to be Jews, and they wanted to be Christians. And so they've heard all their lives about these prophecies. And Matthew goes over and over and over again. Remember this, the prophet said this, here's Jesus. Jesus is actually the one. And so people begin to start thinking, which is what Matthew wanted people to do, okay, maybe he is the promised one. But if you think about it, we have another crazy story here again in the 2nd chapter of Matthew. We have a group of Gentiles, non-Jews, who show up in the middle of Jesus the Jew story. These are not just simple non-Jewish people who don't practice at the synagogue. They're foreigners, they're strangers. They've come a long way to find this new king and a baby. What are we going to do with them? And they didn't even practice at what we like. We don't know them. What are these foreigners doing in our country? It's still an interesting story. We don't know much about them. Again, they added all the details to make themselves. But what we do see them is that they're men of action. They saw the star. What turned out to be scientists and all that the planets coming together that shows up every 800 years or so. There are people in every generation who want to see things in a different light. They see and they want things to change. And so what they do is they do something about it. Matthew loves people having dreams, and they respond to that dream. H. Jackson Brown wrote, "Opportunity dances with those who are already on the dance floor." These people had an idea. They committed to that idea. They actually did something about it instead of talking. And they began their journey literally not knowing where they were going to end up, but they knew why. Now some people get all worked up. They get excited. Oh, this is an idea. This is wonderful. We're going to do this. We're going to change that. And we know realistically that not every star is worth following. There are some people who are impulsive. They may jump at any star because it represents change. It represents excitement. It represents maybe a possibility. And we call these moments, when they don't end up too hot, we call them politely learning experiences. Second, these wise men were men of determination. I'm sure the neighbors and their staff who got dragged along, because I'm sure 3 kings just didn't go off by themselves. They dragged people with them to help. These guys were fools. They were going to follow a star in the east. But they followed that star until it stopped over a house in Bethlehem. This is what they have been doing. They were following the star to reach a goal. And there are people who are determined that they are going to get to their goal. They know which star they're following. Mary Kay of fame with her pink cars and everything said, if you ever decide to compare these, you are going to find I have more scars than anyone else in this room. It is because I have fallen down so much and have gotten up each time. There are people who are successful in life. There are people who refuse to give up. There are people who continue to follow their star regardless of the obstacles. Their words are, yes, I will. They are important words in their language. Whether it's spoken out loud, whether embroidered on a t-shirt, or silently, these are the words that have motivated some people to make a difference in this world and in their lives. They are willing. And the third point, these wise men were men of action, they were men of determination, and they were men of faith. They told King Herod to his face, we are looking for the King of the Jews, that we might worship him. Maybe they knew Herod's situation with the Romans, but they had come to Jerusalem not to find gold, but to find God. When my son Adam was about 5 years old, I put out the wooden nativity set that we had from Israel. It was one that his age he could touch, and there's no way it could get broken. And as we put it out, I told the story and put the characters, and you could see everybody, and everybody looked absolutely wonderful. It was a perfect Hallmark moment in my mind. The next morning, I found that he had touched the figures that were on the table. A shepherd was talking to Mary. A king was having a conversation with Joseph. Okay, so he's doing what I thought he might do, is moving things around and being me. I put them back in their right place. As the day comes, the next day comes, and he's moved everybody else. And they were all kind of looking into the manger, and I was afraid the donkey was going to die from a lack of oxygen. As I was rearranging them, Adam said, stop. And I said, why? They came to see the baby. Obviously, my 5-year-old was paying attention to his mother's children's stories at church. They wouldn't be facing out, they would be facing in. Adam reminded me that something was important. I didn't dare mess with the characters again. And all of my characters in my nativity sets are all facing in today.
Amen.
Adam was right. These wise men went to a great deal of trouble, more than we can imagine. Some say they said that they came all the way from Persia to come to Iran, to come over to Israel. They had come to look for Jesus for a reason. Now, despite what we say every single year, and here we are I'm starting already, Christmas will start again probably in July. And we go crazy until just a few days ago, and then it's all over. Christmas is over.
Yeah.
Not yet. It's over on the 6th with the fireworks. But we know it's not about presents, about memories. And this year it was about the pandemic, and joy, and sadness, and lots of yin-yang that comes with our holidays. Christmas is the story of salvation and the gift of grace. It is a story to remind us that we have a second chance. Hallmark cards in the old days used to say, if you care, then send the very best. And in their humble opinion, that just means a Hallmark card. God cared. God sent His very best. Not just for one day, not just for 12 days of Christmas, not just for a season, but that we might live and have that gift every day.
Amen.
For the past 48 years on Christmas Eve, 1 minute before midnight, Bert Holloway of Cambridge, England, gives his wife a love letter. And it started when they were first married and they couldn't afford presents, and so he wrote this letter to her, telling her of his love and their their life together. She's kept all those letters because they mean something more than any other type of gift. Every year we celebrate the greatest treasure given to us. It's a love letter given by God in a tiny baby that grew up. The wise men sought and found him, and they arrived. And I hope this year, no matter what happens to each one of us as individuals or as people, that we will remember that the most important thing is the gift of that love letter. It's a gift that changes lives. And because we are now different people.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen.